3 days later, on a green planet, with a normal gravity and full of not hostile life, nor intelligent. There was a spaceship, from which small flying robots came and went, bringing food to the spaceship. The spaceship was standing in the air, absorbing water from a lake with a hose, and near that spaceship, a giant monkey in a meditative pose floated just inches from the ground. Due to the tranquility and security that he transmitted, small and harmless animals from the surroundings concentrated around him, since they felt safe from the attacks of predators. That giant monkey was Broly, who was trying to find a way to transform into true Saiyan while the spaceship was supplied with food and water. I have tried for days to become a Super Saiyan, but there is no progress. I begin to believe that this can be due to my third theory. Maybe, the tail makes the transformation in Super Saiyan more difficult, or it has some incompatible with the S cells. The hybrids between Saiyan and Earthlings have an absurd advantage. They inherit their parents' S cells, as we could see with Trunks and Goten. In addition, part of their fighting power, as we can see with Trunks and Goten and Pan of Dragon Ball Super, which seems to have inherited the mystical mode from Gohan, and a lot of his power. It give me chills thinking how strong Bra could be. It is as if the hybrids between Saiyan and Earthlings follow the evolutionary theory of Lamarck and not the Darwin one. Gohan was born with a tail, although Goku for his lifestyle had to have enough S cells when he got it, he hadn't woken them up yet. However, the children of Saiyans who were born from parents who had woken up their Super Saiyan, were born without a tail, and that made them transform very easily into Super Saiyan. Maybe because those S cells so active and awaked, prevented the growth of the tail. In addition, the Saiyans of Universe 6 are very pacific, and had no tail, and it was extremely easy for them to become Super Saiyan. But how did they not have information about that transformation? That didn't make sense. I don't know, but it may be related. No. Maybe the tail makes the Super Saiyan transformation more difficult, but not impossible. I'm not going to give up. The first Super Saiyan apparition that was seen was a golden monkey. Even in Dragon Ball Heroes we saw an evil Saiyan capable of transforming into Golden Oozuru, and Yamoshi also had a tail and could be transformed at first in Super Saiyan. I'm not going to give up my X10 multiplier, nor my ovaries breaker appearance. Broly had left the planet XE321F5 for several reasons. 1. He needed supplies for his trip. 2. He was tired of desolate and ugly planets. 3. He was looking for a place that could give him a great peace of mind. Broly was convinced that the key to becoming a true Saiyan was a state of extreme tranquility, similar to that of completely emptying the mind in Buddhistic histories. Broly tried to empty his mind as much as possible, but it was impossible. He was not able to empty his mind no matter how hard he tried. He kept having thoughts of all kinds. Even when he didn't think about anything, he thought that he didn't have to think. He even celebrated in his thoughts that he had stopped thinking, something quite paradoxical. This is crap. I cannot help thinking. As this continues in the future, it will be impossible for me to master the Migat no Goki. Broly didn't get any apparent results, and he began to get impatient. Since he had reached this universe, this could be considered as his first great defeat, not counting the fight against Beerus, which was lost in advance. Broly in his Oozuru form, frustrated and with nothing to do for the moment, began to hum while waiting his spaceship to be ready. Tan tan, ta 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 tan 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 tan, tan tan, ta 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 tan 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 tan, ta ta tan tan ta tan. You can say what you want about that sequel, that was full of errors, inconsistencies, that everyone had become useless or stupid, okay, they may be right about that. However, the opening is beautiful, Broly said as tears fell from his eyes, remembering perhaps one of the most beautiful anime openings ever. While that beautiful music played in his head, he began to remember events of many years ago. It was as if he were going back to his childhood in one of the most endearing moments of his life. He remembered when he was a child stuck to the TV watching the adventures of Goku. It was the first anime that saw. The first anime that made him laugh, cry, get excited, learn, that made him love those characters, which grew with him during his childhood to adolescence, and maturity. Dragon Ball for him wasn't just an anime. Was anime that made him love anime, and somehow change his life. It was a very important part of his life, and now he was in that world. Remembering all those fond memories, his mind and heart were filled with melancholy and joy. Then, during that flashback loaded with sentimentality, something impressive happened. He felt as if the small animals that were resting on his body were growing. Therefore, he opened his eyes to see what was happening, and he was very happy. The body of the animals that weren't growing, it was his that was shrinking. Don't fuck with me. If the Super Saiyan is obtained by extreme anger, then the true Saiyan must be obtained by the opposite, extreme melancholy and joy for something you care. Animals altered by the change of their environment ran quickly through fear. Broly has the same size as before the Oozuru transformation. However, something had changed, his power remained the same as when he transformed into Oozuru, but his energy reserves were far superior. He looked at his arms, which were more muscular and covered with brown fur. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to see me, I want to see me. Broly approached the lake, where his spaceship was refilling water, and looked at his reflection. He maintained his normal stature, but the upper part of his body was somewhat more muscular. Except for his pectorals, the last abdominal, the neck, the head, hands and feet, all his visible body was covered with brown fur, the same color of the Oozuru fur. Yes fuck, yes. I came to think that this transformation wasn't possible. I am so happy. Fuck that I'm cool despite still measuring barely a meter. He said while admiring himself in an extremely narcissistic way while the animals looked at him as if he were some kind of pervert. With this form and combat power it would be possible to destroy Frieza almost without difficulty. I would surely destroy him considering that I can become stronger in the fight, but it's not completely sure yet. If they cut my tail I would lose this transformation, even if it grew back after 6 months I would lose the fight if I can become Super Saiyan like Goku. He also could destroy the planet and run away, which I don't, and if he destroys my kid I'm fucked. It is better not to rush, although I want to fight against someone strong to improve. I cannot risk myself stupidly. I'm young, and there's still too many years left for the Dragon Ball saga to begin, much more needed for the Z. All in due time. For now let's go to my new planet, said Broly while caressing the coat of his arms. 739 Another planet. On a small abandoned island in which only lived an old man, a teenager and a strange man who behaved and dressed like a Power Ranger with low IQ. It doesn't look like anything is approaching this planet, maybe you missed it. Asked the old man to the strange person. I'm a super elite. I never miss anything, answered that strange person. Looks like the projectile failed to land on this planet, said the old man looking at the sky. Rejoice. The crisis of this planet has been avoided, said relieved the strange person. For real. Lucky us. Then can you give me a ride on your spaceship to Kiwi Island? The teenage girl said cheerfully. You're using the Galactic Patrol like a taxi, the strange person answered indignantly. Hey, you can fly that thing, thanks to me, remember, said teenager arrogantly. Okay, I'll go too, said the old man. The three inside the spaceship continued with the conversation. By the way, Jocko, what are these brutal aliens like? Asked the teenage girl. Their main motive is to take over the planet. But the worst thing is that they are an evil race that love to fight. Even the Galactic Patrol are no match for them, and the extinction bomb has no effect on them either. If the planet is ruled by a powerless race like this Earth, they will usually send a small child to slowly do away with the people on that planet. They have a very long childhood, so they can deceive the people around them as a child until they grow up. After that, their body will quickly grow into a size that is suited to fight, and they will continue to create havoc without hardly ever aging. Apart from the fact that they have a tail, they look very similar to Earthlings too, said Jocko while driving his spaceship. Sounds horrifying, what's that race alien called? Asked the teenager. The scions of planet Vegeta, Jocko answered with some fear. However, before the teenage girl and the old man could express their words of amazement, something appeared in their vision field. Jocko, is that a spaceship? Are they friends of yours who have come to rescue you? The girl asked. I don't know tights, I had never seen that model, and I don't see any identification of the association to which it belongs, Jocko answered. Could it be that scion you talked about? The old man asked. I don't think that Amori, they use some small, spherical spaceships, it must be another alien. I just sent him a message in the intergalactic language, telling him to land on the island, replied Jocko. It seems that he's following your instructions, Jocko. In the end it will be true that the Galactic Patrol exists and has some authority, Tights said. Jocko, indignant, replied, shameless, of course it exists, and of course it has authority in the universe, and of course that alien would follow my orders. I am the elite after all. Yes, whatever you say, let's go down, I want to see what the other aliens are like, said Tights, pointing the direction of the spaceship. I repeat that I am an elite patrolman of the Galactic Patrol, not your driver, Jocko answered indignantly once more. Jocko, Thite, and Amori landed next to the great crystalline spaceship, from which nobody had come out yet. I don't think it's someone dangerous, usually when an evil guy see the Galactic Patrol runs away, unless... Jocko answered. Unless, what? Asked Tights. Unless he is very strong or dangerous, he would have attacked me, Jocko answered. Amori and Tights looked at each other with little encouragement, they did not know whether to laugh or cry. Then the three again became alert. The hatch of the spaceship began to open, and a little figure appeared from it. He was a boy barely over 3 feet tall. He had a humanoid aspect, very similar to that of an earthling. Oh, he's just a little boy, said Tights, somewhat disappointed. That was something that somehow disappointed Tights, who expected to find an alien with a bizarre appearance, totally away from the human one. However, immediately they noticed a certain detail that child had in his forehead. Jocko, how is called the race of human-like aliens with 3 eyes? Amori asked, quite intrigued. I don't know, I cannot know all the races of the universe, there are too many, Jocko answered without caring about his ignorance, until he saw something that shocked him. Go back. Jocko screamed suddenly. Tights and Amori were surprised by Jocko's sudden reaction, but both were very intelligent and understood what was happening. That child was dangerous. What's up, Jocko? Asked Tights. It's him, it's the evil scion, Jocko said as he pointed to what looked like a belt that encircled that child's waist. That belt moved by itself, that belt turned be an ape tail. Tights and Amori quickly understood the situation, that strange child was precisely the alien that Jocko was looking for, the reason he had come to Earth. Hello, my name is Broly, nice to meet you, said the young scion, as if the situation was not with him. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.